Swamaya mohitam hetvan abhigyam brashtachetasam. And then he says, like where Narada Maharshi, he says that, Mahadeva have defeated Kama out of ignorance. Who is not bound by ignorance? Mahadeva alone is beyond. Mahadeva destroys the tamas of his devotees. And we'll be seeing how Mahadeva destroys the ego of Narada here. And then Narada Maharshi, he was ignorant of the real cause. He never knew that actually it was by the grace of Lord Shiva he has conquered Kama, and by the statement of Lord Shiva he has conquered Kama. And then he was deluded by Shiva Maya. And then going on, Hetata Narada Prajna Danyastvam Shrunumadvachaha Vachyamevam Nakutropi Harer Agre Visheshataha. And then Mahadeva would say, Oh Narada, says Narada, whatever you have said is fine. But listen to me. Never speak like this anywhere else to anybody, specifically in the presence of Vishnu. He would say that. Now this is going to be beautiful. Mahadeva is going to conduct a very beautiful Leela through Vishnu and Narada. So never go to Vishnu and say this, in his presence. And then, Prichamano pina bruyah swavrittam me yaduktavan gopyam sarvatahi naiva vachyam kadachana. You should never mention your achievements as you have done just now. One should never also, Mahadeva says this, and so we can have this realization that we should never ever boast of our achievements. Even if a blade of a grass has to move from one direction to another direction through the wind, that also happens by Lord Shiva's grace. So if we are engaging in Shiva Bhakti, if we are engaging in chanting the names of Lord Shiva, if we are engaging in Shiva Katha or hearing Shiva Katha, that also happens by the grace of Lord Shiva. So we should never ever boast of our achievements. The moment you get that ahankara, that's all. And then always your achievements should be guarded as close secrets. Oh Narada, it should never be expressed. And then Shasnyaham Tvam Visheshena Mama Priyatamo Bhavan. I say this to you, oh Narada, oh sage Narada, because you are very dear to me. You are my devotee. Shastis me tancha bahusho Rudra Suti Karah Prabhu Naradona Hitam Mene Shiva Maya Vimohitaha. Mahadeva, the cause of all creation. Namo Bhavayacha Rudrayacha. He is the cause of all creation. Ahameva Jagatkarta Mamakarta Maheshwaraha. He is the cause of this Jagat. He is the Lord of the Vedas and also the Lord of Yajnas. He advised Narada in many, many ways, but Narada did not listen. He was bound by the Maya of Shambhu and did not take that advice seriously. Prabala Bhavini Karma Gatirgneya Vichakshanaihi Na Nivarya Janaih Kaischid Apicha Saiva Shankari. So the future course of actions, when you're bound by ahankara, when you're bound by ego and lust, you don't even know what you do. So you have to face the consequences for that. So the future course of actions will be inevitable, unavoidable. Vinashakale viparida buddhi. So the will of Shiva cannot be warded. So whatever Mahadeva, at the end of the day, whatever happens, it happens by the will of Lord Shiva. Tatassa Munivaryohi Brahmalokam Jagamaha. So here also we can learn one thing. Mahadeva doesn't force anybody. You have that, every Jivatma has that minute independence in what you want to do. Whether you want to engage in Shiva Ninda, or whether you want to ignore Shiva, or whether you want to do stuti for Lord Shiva, that is ultimately, your choice. You have that minute independence. But you are not Swarat. We are not Swarat. Swarat is supremely independent. Sabbrahma Sashivas Saharisendra Soksharak Paramak Swarat Ridakam Satyam Param Brahma Purusham Krishna Pingalam Urdvaretam Virupaksham Vishwarupam Namamyaham. That Virupaksha Urdvareta Krishna Pingala, that personality who is described as Purusha, Veda Purusha, Paratpara, that Mahadeva alone is Swarat and no one else. So, but we have to utilize our independence in engaging in trying to know who we are and who is that supreme reality and what is our relationship with that supreme reality. So we have that minute independence. So Mahadeva advises Narada, but he doesn't listen. He is bound by Shiva Maya and he is bound by Ahankara. Prabala bhavini karma gatir jnaya vichakshanaihi na nivarya janaih kaischit apicha saiva shankari. And then one cannot avoid the future course of actions. And then tatassa munivaryo hi brahmalokam jagamaha vidim natva bravit kama jayam swasya tapobalat tadakaranya vidissota smritva shambhu padambujam nyatva sarvam karanam tan nishisheda sutam tada. And then the great sage Narada went to Brahma's world and then he recited his glories. Okay, oh Brahma, I have defeated Kama. I have won over Kama as a result of my penance. And then Brahma knew, that he remembered the lotus feet of Shiva. Shambhu Padambuja. Pada means the feet. Ambuja means lotus. And Shambhu. The feet of Shambhu is like that of a lotus. And then he remembered the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. And then, okay, you proceed. That's what he said. Because he knew that he was bound by Shiva Maya. So he is not going to listen. So Brahma's son is actually Narada Maharshi. And then what he does? Mene hitanna vidyuktam narado jnani sattamaha shivamaya mohitascha ruda chittam adankuraha shivecha yadrishi loke bhavetyeva hi satada tadadinam jagat sarvam vachastam tyanta stitam yataha. And then Narada did not take the advice of Brahma and then he was deluded by Maya of Lord Shiva. That arrogance has popped up in that mind. So without teaching a lesson, that arrogance will not be curbed. And then whatever happens, it is described that the entire universe is dependent on the will of Lord Shiva. Jagat sarvam vachastantyanta sthitam yataha. Jagat sarvam, the entire universe is dependent on the will of Lord Shiva. Jiva Jagat, all of them are dependent on Mahadeva. Naradota yayau shigram vishnulokam vinashtadihi madankura mana vrittam gaditum swam tadagrataha. And then sage Narada, he went to Vishnu and then he said the same thing as he told Lord Shiva and Brahma. And then Swasane samupaveshya smritva Shiva Padambujam. Vishnu remembered the feet of Shiva Padambujam. He remembered the feet of Mahadeva. That feet he is still searching for. Shrutva muni vacho Vishnus samadam karanam tataha nyatavana kilam smritva Shiva Padambujam hridi tushtava girisham bhaktya shivatma shaivarang harihi sanjalir visudirna Mastakah Parameshwaram. On hearing the arrogant words of the sage, Vishnu remembered the feet of Lord Shiva and understood, what has happened. And then Vishnu is described as the great devotee of Lord Shiva. Shaivaranga Harihi, that's what it says. He's a great devotee of Lord Shiva and his soul is always dedicated to Mahadeva. Atma me Shankaraha. Krishna Janmakandam, 75th chapter of the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Krishna says, Atma me, my Antaratma is that Mahadeva, Shankara, Pashupati, Ishana, Parameshwara. There is no one who is greater than him. I always surrender to him. And then he bowed his head to Lord Shiva. And then he eulogized Mahadeva, Parameshwara with beautiful hymns, joining his hands, Vishnu. And then Vishnu Rovacha, Devadeva Mahadeva Prasida Parameshwara Danyastvam Shiva Danyate Maya Sarva Vimohini. And then he was thinking, oh Lord Mahadeva, Devadeva Mahadeva Parameshwara, be pleased. And then no one is, everyone from the blade of a grass, even including me and Brahma, are bound by your Maya. Your Maya enchants everyone, oh Mahadeva. And then Ityadisa stutim krutva Shivasya Paramatmanaha Nimilya Nayane Dhyatva Virarama Padambujam Yat Kartavyam Shankarasya Sajñatva Vishwapalakaha Shiva Shasanatah Praha Hridata Munisattamam. And then he chanted various prayers to Lord Shiva, closing his eyes and meditated on his feet. He meditated on the Supreme Atman, that is Paramatma, the Supreme Soul. Jivatma means the individual soul. Paramatma means the Supreme Soul. So Paramatma is Mahadeva. He meditated on the feet of Mahadeva and he did some stuti. And then he knew what Mahadeva is going to do. Because this is entirely a Shiva Leela. Shiva Leela is conducted through Vishnu. Just like Bhagavad Gita is actually, the Tatparyam is Lord Shiva. And it is conveyed through Krishna. Using Krishna, Mahadeva uses Krishna as an instrument and conveys the knowledge, his knowledge to Arjuna. Like that, this entire Leela is going to be conducted, with the will of Lord Shiva. And then Vishnu addressed Narada. Oh sage, you are the foremost of all sages and you are blessed. Now he uses good words for Narada Maharshi. And the test is going to come. Narada Maharshi is going to face a wonderful test. And then he makes a statement, lust, and anger arises in the heart of those people who are devoid of the three types of devotion. So what are the three types of devotion? We saw that 9 types of devotion are there, as told by Renuka Bhagavatpada in Siddhanta Shikamani 9th chapter 2nd verse. Shravanam Kirtanam Shambhoho Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atmanivedanam. But primarily the 3 types of devotion are the first 3 things that comes. Shravanam, Kirtanam Shambhoho, Mananam. Shravanam, Kirtanam and then Smaranam. Shravanam is hearing the glories of Lord Shiva. Kirtanam is chanting the names of Lord Shiva, doing Shivanama Sankirtanam. Chanting songs praising Mahadeva. And then Smaranam is meditating on the divine form of Lord Shiva in the heart. These 3 are the primary types of devotion, and that is what is told in the Vidyeshwara Samhita of Shiva Mahapurana, 4th chapter, 16th and the 19th verse. The Sutta Maharshi says there, he highlights the 3 types of devotion. And Shravanam Kirtanam Shambhoho Mananam Veda Sammatam. He says these 3, meditating on Mahadeva, hearing the glories of Lord Shiva, and then chanting the names of Lord Shiva is actually equal to Veda Sammatam, is actually equal to on par with the Vedas. And then Vishnu says, only, people who are devoid of the 3 types of devotion, in those people only lust and delusion actually occurs. Lust and anger occurs in the heart of those people. But, you are actually an eternal celibate. You are devoted to non-attachment and you are endowed with knowledge. Oh sage, he praises the sage. And then Narada says, Narada Uvacha, Kim Prabhavak Smarak Swam In Kripa Yadyasti Te Mayi Ityukva Harimanamya Yayau Yadrit Chiko Munihi. And then again sage Narada boasts. He says in Ahankara, Oh Vishnu, what can Kamadeva do to me? What can Kamadeva do to me? And then the sage actually paid his respects to Vishnu and then he leaves from there. So here the 2nd chapter ends. Iti Shri Shiva Mahapurane Dvitiyayam Rudra Samhitayam Pratamakande Srishtyupakyane Narada Tapovarnanam Nama Dvitiyodhyayaha. And then moving on to the 3rd chapter. ऋषय ऊचुः सूत सूत महाभाग व्यास शिष्य नमोस्तुते अद्भुतेयं कथा तात वर्णिता कृपया हिनः मुनौ गते हरिस्तात किं चकार ततः परं नारदोऽपि गतः कुत्र तन्मे व्याख्यातुमर्हसि. And then Suta, oh great Maharshi Suta, because this is a conversation between Suta Maharshi and the sages, divine sages who are listening to him. Oh disciple of Vyasa, oh great Suta Maharshi, our humble prostrations to you. And it is your grace, by your grace, that this wonderful story is narrated to us. And now please tell us, please enlighten us, what did Vishnu do? And after sage Narada left that place. Vyasa Uvacha. And again, this whole incident is actually given by Vyasa Maharshi. So Vyasa Uvacha. Vyasa Uvacha Ityakaranya Vachastesham Sutah Pauranikottamaha Pratyuvacha Shivam Smritva Nana Suti Karam Buddha. You know, he is an excellent scholar of all the Puranas, the Suta Maharshi, great Maharshi, who is the son of Romaharshana and who is the disciple of Vyasa Maharshi. He remembered Lord Shiva, who is the cause of all causes, and then replied, because everything happens by the grace of Lord Shiva. So that, you know, if we should never ever be bound by ahankara. Even if we do some kind of progress in Shiva Bhakti, it only happens by the grace of Lord Shiva. So here again he remembered Mahadeva and then he started reciting. Muni Margasya Madhyetu Vireche Nagaram Mahat Shata Yojana Vistaram Adbhutam Sumanoharam. On the path of the, when the sage was leaving, in his path, Vishnu created a wonderful city, which was like 100 yojanas in length, and then very, very beautiful. Tatra Raja Sheela Nirdhi Namaishwarya Samanvitaha Sutasvayam Varodyukto Mahotsava Samanvitaha. And the wealthy king of that city. And before getting into this, like Vishnu, again, he also has that, he was given that Maya Shakti as a gift by Lord Shiva. And that is told everywhere in the Shiva Mahapuranam, Skanda Puranam. And also it is told in the Rig Vedam, 5th canto, 3rd chapter, 3rd verse. Tavashriye maruto marjayanta rudragatte janima charuchitram padam yat Vishnur upamam nidagi tena pasi guhyam namagonam. So Vishnu acquired Vaikunta, Aishwarya, Lakshmi, the prosperity by the grace of Lord Shiva. He acquired the Sudarshana Chakra. He became lotus eye by the grace of Lord Shiva. And apart from this, he acquired the Maya Shakti also by the grace of Lord Shiva. So with that Shakti that he received from Mahadeva, he creates this wonderful city. And then the wealthy and the prosperous king of that city was named, was actually Sheelanidhi. Sheelanidhi, his name was Sheelanidhi. And then he was preparing the Swayamvara of his daughter. Etadrisham puram drushtva moham praptota naradaha kautuki tan ripadvaram jagama madaneditaha agatam munirvaryam tam drushtva sheela nidir nripaha upaveshyarchayan chakre ratna simhasane vare. And then Narada, after actually seeing that very splendid city, he was enchanted. Oh wow, this looks wonderful. I have to make a visit. That Abhilasha, that desire comes into the sage, comes in the mind of sage Narada. The desire should be only to serve Mahadeva. Abhilasha Ashtakam was sung by Vishwanara Maharshi in Shiva Purana and Skanda Purana. That's the very first katha that I gave in the beginning of January 2021. So that Abhilasha means desire, that Icha, that desire should be, we should always have that desire to attain Mahadeva, serve Mahadeva. That's the only desire we need to have. Because apart, whichever things we go behind in this world, that has an end. That is, everything is temporary. But Mahadeva is Nitya, eternal. That's when we can attain that Nitya Padam and we can liberate ourselves from the repeated cycles of birth and death. So that Icha comes, that Abhilasha comes in Narada, that, oh, what a wonderful city, I have to go and visit this. And when the sage reached that place, King Sheelanidhi was there. And then he gave him a splendid throne and offered a seat to sage Narada. Atarajasva tanayam nama tashrimatim varam samaniya naradasya padayos samapatayat tatkanyam prekshya sa munir naradah praha vismitaha keyam rajan mahabhaga kanya sura sutopama. And then he called his Sheelanidhi called his daughter. So to whom, for whom the Swayamvara is about to happen. Again, this is like completely a Shiva Leela. So this is done for making Narada, sage Narada, realize that everything happens by the grace of Lord Shiva and not otherwise, because he is bound by ahankara. And then Srimati, he calls his daughter, oh Srimati, come here, and then get the blessings of sage Narada. And then Narada, after seeing that girl, he was struck with wonder. What a lovely girl, who is equal. Her beauty is comparable to that of the celestial damsel. Oh my God. So this is the power of Kama. Everybody, as I said before, from the blade of a grass till Vishnu, everybody are bound by Kama. But we can win over Kama, yes, by the grace of Lord Shiva, by surrendering to Lord Shiva, by thinking of that pada of Mahadeva. Dhyatam mittam aharnisham niyamitah pranaihi na shambhoh padam. Our mind is fully, completely focused on materialistic things, thinking of money and thinking of sexual pleasure, but it is not focusing on the feet of Shambhu. Bhartrihari takes that in the Vairagya Shatakam, 6th verse. So if we dedicate ourselves in thinking of the feet of Mahadeva, we can win over Kama. And then Narada was bound by lust. Tasya tad vachanam shrutva raja praha kritanjalihi duhiteyam mama mune shrimati nama namataha. Oh sage, please give her blessings. And then also Shilanidhi tells to sage Narada that please tell her about her destiny. What sort of husband she will get. And then Narada prepares to answer. Narada was bound by the victim of love. Ityukto muni shardulas tamichuh kama vihvalaha. He was bound by lust, Kama. Samabhashya sa rajanam narado vakyam abravitam. He decided to answer the king Shilanidhi. Suteyam tava bhupala sarva lakshana lakshita mahabhagyavati danya lakshmi riva gunalaya. She is highly fortunate, and then she has the abode of all prosperities and qualities. And then her future husband will definitely be a great personality. He will be on par. He will be heroic, on par with Lord Shiva. So in the beginning of Rudram, the beautiful hands and the bow and the arrow that Mahadeva is holding is also described. The ultimate personification of female is Mata Parashakti, and the ultimate the personification of the man is actually Mahadeva. So he will be heroic. He'll be heroic and on par with Lord Shiva, and also very beautiful like Kamadeva. That's what actually Narada Maharshi says to the Shilanidhi. Ityuktva nripama mantriyam yayau yadrichako munihi babhuva kama vivasha Shivamaya vimohitaha. And then the sage Narada, he leaves that city. And then he was deluded by the Maya of Lord Shiva, and he was completely bound by lust. Chitte vichintya sa munira nuyam katamena kam swayamvare nripalana mekam mam vrunuyat katam saundaryam sarvanarinam priyam bhavati sarvata tad drishtva prasannasa swavasha natra samshayaha. And then the sage started thinking in his mind, I have to somehow marry her. I have to somehow get her. See, she's so beautiful. She's so lovely. So those kind of things come to the mind of Narada, and then he starts thinking in his mind. Chittam means mind. So he starts thinking in his mind. So our mind should be dedicated to Mahadeva. We should be Shiva Chitta. And not Nari Chitta. So Nari means the woman, or Nari means woman. So it should not be Nari Chitta, it should be Shiva Chitta. So, but he starts thinking in his mind, how shall I get her? I have to somehow get married to her. And then he starts thinking, a comely appearance, a very beautiful appearance, always appeals to all women in every respect. So let me get a charming personality, so that she becomes attracted to me by seeing me. Saundaryam sarvanarinam priyam bhavati sarvata. And then prasanna, she will become prasannam by looking at my personality. Vidayetam Vishnu Rupam Grahitum Munisattamaha Vishnu Lokam Jagamashu Naradak Smara Vihvalaha Pranipatya Hrishikesham Vakyametat Uvachaha Rahasi Tvam Pravakshyami Swavrittan tam asheshatah tatedyukte tatha bhuta shivecha karyakarta hi bruhit yukta vatish shrishe muniraha cha keshavam. And then Narada goes to Vishnu, and then he tries to somehow acquire the form of Vishnu to captivate Srimati. And then he tells to Vishnu, I will tell you, he comes and then he talks secretly. I will tell you my secret affairs, O Vishnu. As though Mahadeva cannot know about it. And then I will tell you my secret affairs, O Vishnu. And then Vishnu knew, and then Vishnu, who did everything according to Shiva's wish. He always does everything, by the grace of Lord Shiva. He takes those Dasha Avatara also and kills all the enemies by the grace of Lord Shiva. He acquired the Sudarshana Chakra with whom he is killing the enemies, and that also was given by Lord Shiva. And then he's and then he thinks, and then Narada Maharshi replies again, Jagan Mohin Yabikyata Trailokyepyati Sundari Parine Tumaham Vishnu Tam Icham Yadya Machiram. And she has the, she has the luster of Jagan Mohini. She is looking like Sakshat, like Jagan Mohini. There is no one that is more beautiful than her. I have never seen such a wonderful, beautiful woman in the entire three worlds. And then he says, I wish to marry her without any delay. Her Swayamvara is going to happen. I need to go there. I need to get married to her. So this is that, power of lust. But that ultimate Jagan Mohini, or the ultimate supreme goddess, Mata Parashakti, is that, most beautiful woman. That's why she is called as Abhirami. Abhirami means, Rama generally means, attractive. Abhirama means most attractive. Abhirami means the most attractive woman, and Abhirama means the most attractive man. Mata Parashakti and Paramashiva. Abhirami Sameta Amrita Gateshwaraya Namaha. That's where Markandeya, he hugged the Shiva Linga in Tirukadayur, and then Mahadeva, that Hiranmaya Purusha, that golden personality, he arose from that golden linga. Hiranyaya Namaha, Hiranya Lingaya Namaha. And then he kicked Yama with his left foot and saved his dear devotee Markandeya. That's that place Tirukadayur. That's where Mahadevi is called as, Parashakti is called as Abhirami. And I wish to marry her. Narada says that. And then Swayamvaram Chakarasau Bhupitistan Yechaya Chatur Digyah Samayata Rajaputra Sagasrashaha Yedidasyasi Rupam Me Tadatam Prapnuyam Dhruvam Twadrupam Sa Vina Kante Jayamalam Na Dasyati. And the king, at the request of the king, actually the king Shilanidhi have arranged the Swayamvara of the princes, and thousands of actually people have come, from various places to attend that Swayamvara. So if you can, give your form to me, it would be great. She would definitely put her wedding garland around my neck by looking at my form. And then Suta Uvacha Vachak Shrutva Munerittam Vihasya Madhusudanaha Shankarim Prabhutam Buddhva Pratyuvacha Dayaparaha. So this is the last verse for the today. So where actually, after hearing these words of sage Narada, and then Vishnu was thinking, who can actually cross Shiva Maya? Only Shiva Bhaktas can cross Shiva Maya. And then he was laughing and thinking of this, bearing in the mind about the overwhelming power of Mahadeva. So which cannot be crossed, but only by surrendering to Lord Shiva. Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mameva Ye Prapadyante. Prapadya Mam Eva Ye Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. Mahadeva says that in Shiva Gita 14th chapter. Mameva Ye, you have to surrender to me to cross this at the end of the day. And that's what is told in Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter 14th verse, which is also conveyed by Lord Shiva using Krishna as an instrument to Arjuna. So, and then what Vishnu does, we'll be seeing tomorrow. What Vishnu does actually in response to Narada's request, we'll be seeing that tomorrow. Thank you all for joining. And like as I said before, like I think, today now it's like 10:30. So So today is Maha Shiva Ratri. You can, start off the year by worshipping Lord Shiva in this wonderful night. The auspicious time is like, again, it varies from place to place. For people in Mumbai and for people in, Hyderabad, the timing is different, but usually that 11:30 p.m. to 1 a.m. is very, very auspicious. So you can start off your new year by actually worshipping Lord Shiva, so that asking Mahadeva for unflinching devotion. Or if you have any kind of material desires, you can ask Mahadeva. So with that said, I'll close and I'll chant the Kshama Prarthana mantra, and then we can take up some questions. Om yadaksharapadabrushtam matrahinam tu yadbhavet tat sarvam shamyatam deva parameshvara namostute visarga bindu matrani padapadaksharani cha yunani cha tiriktani kshamasva parameshvara aparada sagasrani kriyante harnisham maya daso yamiti mam matva kshamasva parameshvara anyata शरणं नास्ति त्वमेव शरणं मम तस्मात् कारुण्यभावेन रक्ष रक्ष परमेश्वरी अन्यथा शरणं नास्ति त्वमेव शरणं मम तस्मात् कारुण्यभावेन रक्ष रक्ष परमेश्वर एतत् सर्वं श्री उमा महेश्वर परब्रह्मार्पणमस्तु ललिताम्बिके साम्ब शिवार्पणमस्तु श्रीमति गौरी समेत साम्ब शिवार्पणमस्तु श्रीमति गायत्री समेत साम्ब शिवार्पणमस्तु करचरणकृतं वाक्कायजं कर्मजं वा श्रवणनयनजं वा मानसं वा परादं विहितम् अविहितं वा सर्वम् एतत् क्षमस्व जय जय करुणाब्दे श्री महादेव शम्भो माता च पार्वती देवी पिता देवो महेश्वर वन्दभा शिवभक्तांश्च स्वदेशो भुवनत्रयम् साम्ब शिवाय नमः साम्ब शिवाय नमः साम्ब शिवाय नमः हर ओं दत्सत्